Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new edition of the Third and Leng Podcast, EDGYTIM. Along with the man, Matt Leng, we will bring him in a few minutes here. But again, want to say I hope everyone's having a good playoff season here. Certainly an interesting round one for 1A through 4A as well as 8-man. So we will go through all the round one results for all five of those classes and give you some preview for round two and kind of dig into a few other things, but we'll bring him now. Joining us, the one, the only, Mr. Matt Leng. Hello, sir. Welcome aboard. And a little different. We're recording this on Wednesday afternoon. A little different vibe, a little different feel in the afternoon.
Probably, I don't know, down here, probably the last warm day for a while. I think it's going to start getting cold, so I thought I would break out the polo, the Cutter and Buck golf Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah.
Got the Macho Man. I got Illinois on a bye week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun this Saturday. There's a lot to talk about. We had some ups and downs on the roller coaster of 1A to 4A. Had some things that happened that we did not expect to have happen. And our 8-man is ready to go. And it's the greatest time of the year. The time change and the weather change is coming. The cold weather will be here upon us pretty soon.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. I want to go through a little bit, just looking at the advanced forecast. Only a handful of games scheduled for Friday night. Again, we continue to just run out of time earlier and earlier with Friday games. I have a feeling, if you look at the schedule, this might be the last of the Friday games. You might get one or two, but I'd be shocked if there's more than that after the second round. So that's something to look at and take into account. Now, up in the northern part of the state for this weekend, it's going to get kind of interesting. Friday, they're calling a high of 66 up in the northern part of the state. So, again, really nice weather. But then, oh boy, the big change between Friday and Saturday. Saturday drops down to 54 is a high. And then Saturday night into Sunday, it'll go from 54 as a high to 37 Sunday morning. So again, man, it's coming. I'm hoping we can kind of skate by a little bit on Saturday and get our games in and hopefully avoid. By the way, 70% chance of precipitation on Saturday as well. So we've gotten really lucky up till now, Matt. I hope we can skate by a little bit more, but the hawk is coming and it's coming fast.
Well, I think everybody wants some rain. Everybody wants some snow or some precipitation. I work at a meat locker during the day, Tuesday through Thursday. I see farmers coming in there getting their pork burgers, getting their hamburgers, and all we do is talk about really lack of precipitation. It's really been a dry season ever since August. I can only think of a couple of days we really have had rain. We haven't had any weather delays, nothing like that. So it's going to come out of nowhere. It reminds me of the one year, and I probably said this last year, but it reminds me of the one year when we played up at Northern and that snowstorm came out of nowhere. And I can remember seeing just snow drifts on a semifinal Friday or Saturday with some of the obviously the upper Northern schools. And it's coming. We're going to get some sloppy stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll see. Fingers crossed we can skate by one more week and avoid it. But, well, hey, whatever happens, happens. All right, before we start breaking things down, I have to whip this out. So excuse me while I whip this out. So I get a nice envelope in the mail. Yeah, that's funny. The zipper broke. Nice. Could have timed that any worse. All right, there we go. So I get a little nice thing in the mail. Hey, what's this? Our good friend Eric Lyons down in Olympia. Check that out. Quality shirtwear from our friends in Olympia. Awesome.
You're kind of twins. If you could just look to the left a little bit with your mouth open and smile, you're kind of twins. You know what I'm saying?
So Eric, thank you very much. And what I like, and I told Matt this as soon as I got it, besides the awesome graphic, okay, which is awesome, by the way. Whoever did it for him did a great job. It's a quality shirt. It's not a cheap fly-by-night t-shirt. It's a good quality shirt. I learned to appreciate.
We'll talk about Eric and the dive and the great thing he's doing out there at Olympia. But I'm glad you get that, and you deserve everything that you get in terms of presents, cards. I know I've done some things for you over the year. Yeah, don't do that crap. Shut up. You deserve everything you get.
By the way, things. I love the shirt.
You've done great things for high school football, Tim, and we love you, and you deserve all those nice gifts.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I do love the shirt, but where I'm recording this, it's freezing down here. So that's why if you ever see the videos and I try to change up outfits and what have you, but I'm always wearing this Red Range. This is like my favorite zip up.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, it's a balmy 65 degrees down here, so I'm gonna go with the cutter and buck and let's go.
A little cooler down here in the dungeon usually. So again, it's just it is what it is. All right, really interesting weekend. Every class, I would say, I think 2A might have been probably the least drama filled. But we'll go through it. So Matt, let's start. I think what we're going to do is we're going to start an 8-man. I want to go through and make sure we're covering 8-man. So we're down to a final 4 in 8-man. Okay, so we have Milledgeville. They are in the final 4. They were the 1 seed. They will play Amboy, the 5 seed. And then the opposite side of the bracket, West Carroll, the 7. They advance. They're in the final 4. They take on Polo, the 3 seed. So Matt, any thoughts regarding the final 4 in the 8-man bracket?
Well, you got some heavy hitters. Amboy obviously is, they're the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. They are the team to beat. Milledgeville has great storied football tradition from in the past. West Carroll is the Cinderella story. Here's a team that obviously couldn't put 11-man together with the lack of numbers, and they go to the 8-man route, and they're taking on, the godfather of 8-man football, and Ted Alston. Now, I'll just say this, in terms of this West Carroll outfit, all 4 teams are in the NUIC. They're a representation of just tough, gritty communities, kids that need to succeed and have a good time out there playing football. Like West Carroll, you just got to tip your hat off to that because, I think it's amazing, and every high school deserves some sort of football on a Friday night, whether that's 6-man, 8-man, or 11-man. And thank God this is going for the state of Illinois. And that is a great, great Final 4. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens.
No doubt about it. So we will keep track of that as well. And Matt, let's get right into it. We're going to start in 1A. So let's go through 1A. I'll go through the results from round 1. The 1 seed in North Stockton, they take care of business against Galena. They beat Galena 26-0 to advance. Hayworth, the 9, gets a 21-14 win over Princeville. So again, Hayworth will advance. Moving down the northern part of the bracket, again, no big surprise here. Clifton Central, they get a 24-6 win over Knoxville to advance. They will take on Dwight, Matt, one of the first of quite a few upsets here, honestly. Dwight, the 12 seed, gets a 29-26 win over Rushville Industry. So again, the upper part of the bracket in round 2, you have Stockton, the 1 seed. They will go on the road and take on Hayworth in Hayworth Saturday at 2:00, and then Clifton Central, the 4 seed. They advance. They will also hit the road. They will take on Dwight, the 12 seed. Interesting right out of the box, the 1 seed and the 4 seed get to go on the road, which, Matt, I've got to guess you can't be too upset because obviously you get a win in round 2 on the road. You can almost guarantee you're going to be at home for the quarters.
Yeah, but I can tell you this right now. I wouldn't guarantee anything right now. I think those are going to be some tough matchups for both of those teams.
Right.
This steals a little bit of my thunder what I want to talk about later in 4 quarters and overtime. But like for Stockton and Hayworth, this is new, uncharted territory. Hayworth, this is a huge, huge moment for their school district, and I've had the privilege and honor to talk to some people there, and I'm telling you right now, they got 2 bell cows right now. The last kid at running back who made the game-winning reception against Princeton, Jared Fulcher is their bell cow on the offense and defensive lines. Probably going to be an all-stater. Scott Godfrey has this team rolling. Just an interesting little side note. Brent Spack is a volunteer assistant coach. Yeah, Brent Spack. So that's Brock Spack's son. He's a volunteer assistant coach. They have things rolling. I mean, Stockton will have their hands full. Now, Stockton's either going to come down and just totally send a message to the whole state of Illinois, or that thing's going to go into 4 quarters, and it's going to get really interesting. In terms of Clifton Central, I got to be honest with you. I was a little surprised. I thought Knoxville maybe would upset them with their wing tee and smash mouth football. Jeff Perzee, in his first year as Dean of Students, Assistant Principal, and head football coach, done a great job, okay? I mean, their only loss is to Westville. Westville we'll talk about later. So I think those first 4 teams in that northern bracket, 1A, that's good football.
Yeah, the Clifton Central Dwight game is going to be absolutely packed. That's a huge, huge game, I guess we'll call it. The greater Kankakee area, is that fair? I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be a game for sure in 1A. All right, working our way down. We're still in the north bracket, the lower portion of it. 2 seed Antelope Wethersfield, they get a 31-8 win over Stark County, so they will advance. They will play Deer Creek. Mackinac Deer Creek gets a 52-34 win with a 7 seed Chicago Crane. And folks, as we're going through these, look, all these Chicago public league schools are going to be seated higher. They were not favorites. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So again, Deer Creek takes care of business. They get the win, so they will be at home. We'll get into that in a minute. Working our way on the bracket, the 3 seed Lena Winslow, they get a 48-22 win over Forston. They advanced. They will play Gibson City Melvin Sibley, a 28-6 win over Ottawa Marquette. So again, the round 2 in the lower part of the northern bracket, Kewanee Wethersfield, they will go on the road and take on Deer Creek in Mackinac on Saturday at 3 o'clock. And then the other part of the bracket, Lena Winslow taking on Gibson City Melvin Sibley. What a great round 2 game. Saturday at 2 o'clock, Lena Winslow, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be great football. And I'll tell you this, in terms of those 2 conferences, the Illini Prairie and then the Heart of Illinois Conference, that's going to be a great atmosphere at Deer Creek Mackinac. They have a brand new field, turf. They've had that for a little while. That's Jim McDonald Field after the great high school coach Jim McDonald. Deer Creek Mackinac is probably one of their sleeper teams, okay? They're big. They're physical. They set a message to Ridgeview here later in the year. It's going to be interesting. I mean, who's going to win that Lena Winslow Gibson City? I think they are whoever wins that is going to be, maybe the team to beat. I still want to see what Stockton's all about. That's I'm telling you right now. I mean, everything is pointing towards a great quarterfinal matchups and semifinal matchups in the North. We got some good teams. How good is the Lincoln Trail Prairie Land Conference? How good is Kewanee Wethersfield? I think we kind of oopsie.
Okay.
I'm getting too excited.
Nice.
Wethersfield is a good team. How good are they? And then I would just say, like Rushville Industry, them losing to Dwight, I don't know how good the Lincoln Trail is this year, but we're going to find out this weekend.
By the way, Rushville Industry job opening.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Rushville Industry job is open.
Yeah.
Coach announces stepping down. So,
yeah. And Brian Lafferty's done a great job there. His dad, Coach Lafferty, that coached with Coach Unruh at Illini West all the years. The Lafferty name is prominent in the western side of the state. Great job, yeah. Brian.
All right, so moving on. Southern part of the lower part of the 1A bracket. 1 seed Calhoun gets a 48-6 win over Villa Grove. They advance. Greenfield Northwest, they get a 42-14 win over Susser Valier. So again, it'll be Hardin Calhoun. They will host round 2. They will host Greenfield Northwest Saturday at 1 o'clock. And then the other part of this bracket, Casey Westfield, 35-0 win over Red Hill. They will play the 12 seed Nokomis. Matt, Nokomis with a 28-19 upset win over Tuscola. So again, Casey Westfield, they will go on the road as the 4 seed and take on Nokomis at home in Nokomis gets the home game after the upset win, Matt.
Well, I think there's a lot of people, especially in this area, that are kind of maybe shocked, mildly surprised that Nokomis kind of went into Tuscola and won that game. Tuscola does not usually lose round one games. Tuscola, I think, struggled a little bit offensively this year. And the bottom line is that, Nokomis has a big enough team where they can play keep away. I mean, they got some big guys up front. And I think that whole thing this weekend with Casey Westville is going to be about line of scrimmage, hip level, who controls the ball, okay? So Daryl Evans is the fullback for Nokomis. The second back is Nolan Herbstraith. Very, 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 very good. I mean, they had the ball for about 5 minutes in the first half and had 13 points right out of the get-go. They can play keep away. Two hard-hitting physical teams, Casey and Nokomis. It's going to be interesting who wins that ball game.
Yep. All right, moving on. Lower part of the South bracket in 1A, Camp Point Central, the 2 seed. They get to win 44-0 over West Central. They will take on Brown County. Brown County gets a 48-0 win over Athens. Wow, that's did not see that lopsided score coming. So again, Camp Point Central, the 2 seed, they will be at home for the second week in a row. They will host Brown County.
Both teams, obviously, are.
Matt, let me finish. Matt, I'm sorry, my fault. Let me finish the bottom of the bracket here. Dupo, the 3 seed, they get a 28-7 win over Salt Fork. They advance. They will take on the 11 seed. So Carrollton gets a 28-14 upset win over Oakwood. So again, lower part of the bracket in 1A, Camp Point Central 2. They will host Brown County Saturday at 1 o'clock, and then Dupo, they will go on the road at Carrollton. Take on Carrollton at Saturday at 2. There you go, my friend. Coming away.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, it's Coach Flowers and Carrollton going to Oakwood, and they get that win. We talk about the NUIC every year. There's a Western Illinois version of that, okay? And that's that Western Illinois Valley Conference over there with Hardin Calhoun, Camp Point Central. You have Brown County with Coach Little. His son's as the quarterback. You have Hardin Calhoun, his son is the quarterback. And then you have this guy named Brad Dixon, who's been in the state championship a few times. It's all physical, blue collar, smash in the mouth, shake your hand later type of football. It's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds. I think you'll have a true representation of hard-nosed football come out of that South here in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's move on to 2A. Again, as I noted earlier, you're not going to see a ton of upsets here. It's kind of a very favorite heavy round 1 and 2A. So Rockridge, the 1 seed in the North, they get a 56-12 win over Illini West. They advance. They will play the 9 seed Tri-Valley. Tri-Valley 44-0 over Chicago Richards. As I said, don't pay any attention to the seeds there when it comes to the public league teams. The other part of that bracket, Seneca, the 4 seed, they get done. They get a 35-21 win over Riverdale. And Wilmington, 5, a 70-8 win over West Hancock. So it sets up the upper part of the bracket. Rock Ridge, the 1 seed, they will go on the road to take on Tri-Valley Saturday at 2 o'clock. Seneca, the 4, they get the home game second week in a row. They will host a whole lot of people in purple in Wilmington Saturday night game, 6 o'clock. Matt, that Seneca-Wilmington game is going to be absolutely packed on Saturday.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. I mean, in my 4 quarters, because it's a point of emphasis. Let me put it that way. And 2 mirror images looking right at one another. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. I will just say this: Rockridge's defense better step up. I think they're the X factor in this whole Class 2A system. If their defense steps up, I think they have a chance to go to the state championship. They're going to have to play well. A kid you might want to look out for, Owen McLean. He's a sophomore, plays for Rockridge. He's getting ready to come into McLean County, okay? He's getting ready to go there to Downs Tri-Valley High School. He's had 9 interceptions this year. Okay, so that's going to be really interesting to see if he steps up and plays well for Tri-Valley. I meant to say Tri-Valley. That's the kid's name is Owen McLean. So it's just going to be really interesting to see. Tri-Valley was hurt earlier in the year. Their 2 losses were with people not at full strength. Can Rockridge come over and take this? It's going to be a long trip for Sam Graves. He has the team. If their defense will play well, and they're going to have to play very physical against Josh Roop. I think the winner of that game is going to come out of the north and, give Wilmington or whoever they play in the second round all they want. But hard football coming out of that conference.
Yeah, and that Seneca Wilmington game is going to take about 2 hours max, unless it goes maybe about 4 overtimes. So we'll see 2 very, very heavy run teams in that game for sure. Moving our way down in the northern part of the bracket, El Paso Gridley, the 2 seed, they get a 43-20 win over Marshall. Sterling Newman Central Catholic, the 7 over Ridgeview, 43-8. So it's going to be El Paso Gridley. They will host Sterling Newman Central Catholic Saturday at 5. And then the other part of the northern bracket, Farmington, the 3 seed, they get a 10-8 win over Eastland. Again, it almost sounds like a World Series score. Farmington advances the 3 seed. They will take on Aurora Christian. Aurora Christian, they get a 37-12 win over the 11 seed Erie Prophetstown. So again, it's Farmington hosting Aurora Christian Saturday, 3 o'clock. And that is your part of the bracket in 2A.
How good is El Paso? How good are they coming out of the heart of Illinois Conference? They're this young, fast, athletic, multiple weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Brian Hassan does a great job with the defense. Toby Vallis has kind of something very similar. A lot of weapons, not nearly as big as he was in the past. So again, could have a collision course down the road with those 2 teams. Weather could have a big part in this too. You got some teams like Rockridge that like to throw the ball. El Paso likes to throw the ball. Again, I'll talk more about that in the 4 quarters and overtime. Weather could rear its ugly head maybe on Saturday in certain parts of the state.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. We're now in the south part of the 2A bracket. Johnson City, the 1 seed, 38-25 win over Westland, so they advance. They will take on Maroa Forsyth. The Trojans, a 26-14 win over Chester. So again, Maroa will get a home game this round. They will host Johnston City Saturday at 2 o'clock, and then working our way down. Flora, the 4, they get in 42-39 win over Nashville. They will take on the 5 seed Pana. Pana gets a 43-14 win over Bismarck Henning. So again, Saturday, 2 o'clock at Flora, they will host Pana, the 5 seed.
Well, no surprise, Coach Mark Ramsey has that team, just clicking like they've always done, but this is his first year kind of taking over. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what they do. What's the game above that you said?
Johnston City and Maroa.
Well, let's just call it how it is. Maroa, basically goes down to Kentucky to beat Chester in a bowl. Have you ever seen that atmosphere? Have you ever seen Chester's home field? That is truly down south in a bowl. And again, Josh Jostis has a physical football team. They've proven they can go down there and win a 28-14 game or a 26-13 game, and they did it. And can Johnson City come up? Johnson City plays on turf, but they'll be taking on a turf team that's used to playing on turf.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting. I think a lot of people, if you're going to be putting money down, and we don't promote that here on this show, but Maroa is probably one of your betting favorites to make a run. If they're going to put on the Jets right now, they're going to do it right now.
Well, like you said, the other wild card factor in this, look at the skies on Saturday and see what it looks like. Could play an impact, no question.
Now, I will say, there's some people that will argue for argument's sake and say this isn't Josh's best defensive team, but I think when you make a 2.5, 3 hour trip down to Chester and show that, I think that says a lot. They're playing well right now. They're battle tested. They've done it every year in the playoffs.
All right, and finally, the bottom half of 2A, the 2 seed Westville, they get a 49-6 win over Shelbyville. And again, Westville just continues to pile up the points this year. They will take on the DuQuoin Indians. The Indians get a 48-21 win over Carlinville. So again, it will be Westville at home for the second week in a row. They will host the 7 seed DuQuoin. And then finally, at the very bottom of the bracket, Arthur Lovington, the 3 seed, they get a 27-14 win over Marshall. They will take on Cumberland, the 6 seed. They get a 20-6 win over Sullivan. So it's ALAH, the 3 seed, hosting Cumberland, 6 seed, Saturday at 1 o'clock. Matt Leng.
I think it's the most remarkable part of the bracket. And the reason I say that is Arthur Lovington on the doorstep, looking to advance to the quarterfinals, but they have to take on a team that in their conference that they played and beaten. So they're going to have to stay focused. They better have had a great week. No slippage in the classroom. Make sure you're good at home. Mind mom and dad. And they better have had a great week of football because Toledo Cumberland is playing with a chip on their shoulder. This DuQuoin team, this reminds me a lot of how Nashville always creeps up from the south and beats somebody. It's always a team from the south that comes up into Vermilion County. If DuQuoin can beat Westville, it's going to be a huge upset to a lot of people's eyes. But in some people's eyes, it's really not. But I think Guy Goodlove's team is absolutely dominant up front in the trenches. He's got 4 seniors, all 6'1", 6'2", 265 pounds. For 1A football, that's pretty big. For 6'8", 7'8", 8A football, that's a middle linebacker. Okay, so the bottom line is Guy's got a team. The Barney kid is really good at wide receiver. They do everything well. They're physical. Going to be a great, great game between DuQuoin and Westville.
All right, we'll give you a break for a second on the screen, and we will go through Class 3A, the northern part of the 3A bracket. The 1 seed Richmond Burton gets a 49-0 win over North Boone. They will take on Aurora Central Catholic. The 9 seed, they get a 32-14 win over Chicago Noel Rauner. So again, it'll be Richmond Burton. They will go on the road at Aurora Central Catholic. They will take on Aurora Central Catholic, the 9 seed. They will host. That game is Friday, very rare one, Friday at 7 o'clock. And then moving on that part of the bracket as well, the 4 seed Bloomington Central Catholic, 41-20 over Princeton. And then Monmouth Roseville. God, why do I screw that up every week, Mike or Matt? Monmouth Roseville, they get a 39-14 win over Mantino. So again, it will be Bloomington Central Catholic. They will be home for the second straight week. They will host Monmouth Roseville Saturday at 1 o'clock. Sir, thoughts on this part of the bracket? And
the reason you get it screwed up because we have Bismarck, Henning, Rossville, Alvin, and then we got Monmouth, Roseville, I just did it right there. Jeremy Adolphson's got a great team. You know, they're big, they're physical. They lost one to Rockridge a little bit earlier in the year, or just at the end of the year. All your heavy hitters are playing in this 3A North. You know, Coach Knoll continue to do the great things he's doing. He's got the offense. Byron continues to do the things they're doing. I look for chalk to happen in 3A North. But man, that's a heavy chalk, and that is some good physical gauntlet football.
And again, you mentioned Byron, and I'll go through the bottom part of the northern bracket here. Byron, the 2 seed, he gets a going away win over Oregon, 63-15. DuPac gets an 18-13 win over Johnsburg. Mild upset, I guess. So again, it's Byron. They will go on the road at DuPac, take on DuPac Saturday at 1 o'clock. And then Bishop Mack gets a 38-14 win over Herscher. They will take on Immaculate Conception. IC Catholic gets a 42-13 win over Chicago Hope. So again, Bishop Mack, the 3 seed, they will go on the road. They will go to Elmhurst, take on the IC Catholic Knights Friday at 7. And again, you talk about heavy hitters. Find me a better 4-team bracket right now than this one between Byron, DuPac, Bishop back, and IC Catholic. Those are 4 big-time programs all squaring off against each other. And I'll argue, if you're a coach of one of those 4 teams, you want 1 through 32 seeding, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate. There's going to be some seasons ending, but you're seeing, if you want to come out of the North in 3A and win it, you better put your chin strap on real tight. You better play physical football. No mistakes. You can't give up a big play, because in these games, these possessions are extremely valuable. It's usually a play action pass. It's usually a special team. It's usually change of momentum, sudden change, as coaches like to say. Something big happens, and you got to regroup, have a case of amnesia, and move on to the next play. These coaches have coached and taught their kids really well. These kids, and I'm not saying the 3A kids in the North are better than anybody else, but I can tell from the conferences they come from, and the coaches that coach them, they read their keys really well. So it's going to be very well coached, very well played, and we'll see what happens.
And again, we'd be remiss not to mention the fact that Byron Dupac is a rematch. Remember, they played in the regular season this year. Byron beat them 42-14.
Who does Monmouth Roseville playing again up north?
One moment. They are at Bloomington Central Catholic.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Until someone pushes around Bloomington Central Catholic, they might have the best talent of anybody. I mean, they're not going to – I don't know if their quarterback's going to do anything. I think Brady might be out. But, for Sean Powell, sometimes you can just see a team that just a lot of guys do this. And I'm sure Central Catholic has no problem doing this because they have studs up front. But they're putting him a Wildcat, and they're saying, stop him if you can. And right now, no one can stop him.
Right. Yep. And, again, you look at that side of the bracket too. Richmond Burton sitting there. I mean, they're a team. They fear no one, and Mike Lowe will have those guys ready no matter who the opponent is. So yeah, there are some great matchups.
And you can say Richmond Burton's playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they got beat last year. So
Yeah. So again, just gotta love. I love the fact that. And we talked about it when it happened, when Byron played Dupac, and you see them reaching out and playing a team they don't see normally. And it's just great. And it just adds more drama to this rematch in the second round. So it should be interesting for sure. All right, let's move on to the South bracket. Plenty to offer here as well. So again, the 1 seed, Matt, Williamsville, they get a 53-20 win over Hillsborough. They advance. They will take on Porta. Another baseball score here, my friend. They get a 9-8 win over Fairfield to advance. And then obviously the bottom part of this bracket, Tolono Unity gets a 42-14 win over Mount Carmel, Illinois. So the Golden Aces are out. They will take on Monticello, a 48-16 win over Paris. So again, in the upper part of, the upper part of the South bracket in 3A, Williamsville will host Porta Saturday, 1:00, and then Unity will host Monticello Saturday at 2.
Well, we got a rematch between Williamsville and Porta. We talked about this earlier with Aaron Coons. Porta's big. They're physical. The coach's son is the quarterback. I guess the only kind of interesting thing about the Porta game is that they won 9-8. That was on a controversial ending, a last-second field goal, that everybody's, up the roars about, but the bottom line is the bottom line. But there's going to be a rematch there. It's going to be on the turf of Williamsville. Williamsville should probably be favored to win that game, but it's good job for Porta. Tolono Unity and Monticello, 2 teams right down the road on Monticello Blacktop. I use that road a lot with my driver ed students. I was there at the Monticello game. Coley Welder. got punched in the face early by Jeremy Clodfelder, and Paris fell behind. They were not playing well, and then they woke up and they really started to play well. They really exposed themselves to Paris. A couple trick plays here or there. Sets up a great matchup. Monticello lost earlier in the year. At that time, Coach Waller said, he's like, it's one of the better teams I've seen. I think Coley has coached his team up. I will be at Tolono Unity on Saturday to see that game. I think it's going to be a good one.
All right, and finally, the bottom part of the 3A bracket, Vandalia, the 2 seed, they get a 42-6 win over Christopher Ziegler Royalton Co-op, so they will advance. They will take on the 10 seed Greenville, who got the 35-32 win over our friends at Olympia. Hang on, I want to show this shirt again. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, Olympia is out of the playoffs. They lose to Greenville. Working our way down. Here's one for you, Matt. The 14 seed St. Joe Ogden. I saw some highlights from this one. They take on and beat Benton, the 3 seed, 17-14. They will take on Roxana. Again, another upset, an 11 seed. They win 55-26 over Frankfurt. So again, we will see Vandalia, the 2 seed. They will travel to Greenville on Saturday at 2 o'clock. And then at the bottom part of the bracket, St. Joe Ogden, they will go back on the road, unfortunately, for the second straight week. Roxana gets the home game. Roxana will host Saturday, 2 o'clock. And there you go, Matt. There's some major drama at the bottom of the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, just again, I mean, I have this platform to talk about some of my friends and their teams. Eric has a good football team. He's a little disappointed. The Lawler kid was not at full strength. That doesn't take anything away from the team that they played. They beat them fair and square. Vandalia, obviously, 10-0. That's going to be a tough opponent coming up next. I will say this. I think everybody in the state of Illinois thought that Benton was going to make a run and go to the state championship, or at least go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Coach Skinner had something to say about that. They jumped up 14-0. That game gets tied 14-14. Again, stealing some things from 4 quarters in overtime. But special teams and extra points are big this time of the year. And Marshall Strack, special teams coordinator at St. Joe, congratulations to you. You kick a last-second field goal to win the game in round 1. 5-4 beats a 9-0 on a last-second field goal. Doesn't get any better than that, so congratulations, St. Joe. And your prize is you go down to Roxana, Illinois, and take on Wade DeVries and the Roxanne Shells. So that's going to be an interesting game down there.
No doubt about it. So, all right, we'll move on to 4A. Again, in the northern bracket, the 1 seed Montini Catholic, a 50-6 win over Urban Prep Bronzeville. They will take on Peoria Notre Dame. Peoria Notre Dame with a 35-21 win over Marengo. Continuing our way down the bracket, Dixon, the 4 seed, gets a 45-0 win over Woodstock North. And then the 5 seed, Cole City, 49-7 over Sterling. So, again, you've got a couple of great matchups. Montini hits the road, goes to Peoria Notre Dame. Notre Dame, of course, plays at Richwood. So that game is Saturday at 1 o'clock at Richwood. Don't get confused by that. And then the other part of the bracket, Dixon, they will host Cole City Friday at 7. And, Matt, 2 great matchups there.
I think Dixon's got to be happy they have that home field advantage. Cole City is going to be tough. If you could get a little bit of an advantage or a little bit of something kind of go your way, home field maybe helps Dixon. Cole City's going to be awfully tough to beat. Everything else is kind of going according to chalk. I think there's good hard-nosed football in that northern part of the bracket, and I think we're waiting to see if the inevitable is going to happen and certain teams are going to win.
Working our way down, of course, you've got Morris, the 2 seed, a 54-7 win over Woodstock. I think Morris recovered from that week 9 loss. Okay. They will take on Metamora. Metamora, a 62-14 win over Chicago South Shore. Macomb, the 3 seed, the Bombers get a 21-6 win over Hillcrest. Actually, I'll tell you what, that's an impressive win for the Bombers, no doubt. They will take on Geneseo. Geneseo, the Maple Leafs, get a stunning, thrilling 16-14 win over Rochelle. So again, the round 2 matchups are Morris. They will host Metamora Saturday at 3. Then Macomb, They will get a second home game in a row. They will host Geneseo Saturday at 1 o'clock. Matt?
Yeah. And again, I'll just go ahead and spill the beans. Part of what I want to talk about in 4 quarters and overtime is field goal kicking. And so you're the Geneseo Maple Leafs and you kick a game winner to beat Rochelle. That's a big deal because those teams have played forever in their old conference. Now to meet up again, just a great win. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. Tip your hat off to Macomb. A great win. The team they played had to come down there, make them pay for making that trip. No let up to win 21-6 over Country Club Hills. Pretty good win.
Think that kicker is the mayor of Geneseo this week?
He's pretty popular right now.
All right.
Great win. If you look that up on YouTube, man, I'm talking.
I saw
about as nuts as it gets. And there was 3 of them. There was 3 of them this week, guys. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on.
All right, working our way in the South bracket in 4A, and Matt, this gets talked about all the time. Will you ever see a 16 seed beat a 1? Well, we did last week. Jacksonville, the Crimson, and Mark Brown gets a stunning 41-39 win over Richland County. Again, the 16 seed advances. They will take on the 9 seed Cahokia. Cahokia, the Comanches, get a 44-22 win over Centralia. Bree Central, the 4 seed, gets a 48-15 win over Columbia. They will take on Freeburg. Freeburg, a 46-36 win over Highland. So we have Jacksonville on the road at Cahokia Saturday at 2 o'clock. And then also Bree Central, they will be at home. They will host Freeburg Saturday at 2. How about that 16 seed win there, Matt?
Well, I was this close. I was this close to saying that I thought maybe that was going to be a little bit closer than people thought, but I was scared and chicken. And I'll just tell you this: Mark Grounds is kind of like he's like Uncle Jesse on Dukes of Hazzard, and then he's like what's his name? Oh God, he's like a movie character. I mean, Mark Grounds is amazing, and it's not like he's just out there throwing the ball out in PE class and saying, "Okay, open gym." He runs the triple inside outside veer. He's very good. That's why he's able to go toe-to-toe with SHG on occasion, okay? I mean, he just can. He can shorten the game and just simplify and make it stupid and make you look silly. And he's a great ambassador for the state of Illinois. That was Brett Bielema's first phone call was to Mark Grounds, who at the time was the president of the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association. Congratulations, Mark. Now try to slow down Cahokia because they're pretty fast. Bree Central, there they are. Bree Central, Coach Short. Watch out for that team right now. I'm just saying, watch out. They can make a run and make a real big, solid run into the semifinals.
Yeah, I meant to say I've known Mark Grounds for forever. so yeah, couldn't be happy for that guy for sure.
He's one of the better individuals that we have in the state of Illinois representing coaches. He's what it's all about.
Fully agree, no question. All right, working our way down the very bottom of the 4A bracket. Carterville, they get a 42-14 win over Marquette. They will take on Sacred Heart Griffin. Cyclones, a 26-18 win over Quincy Notre Dame. Rochester to the 3 seed, very little trouble with Taylorville, 56-7 win. They will take on Waterloo. Waterloo with a 14-13 upset win over Mount Zion. So Saturday, you have Carterville on the road at Sacred Heart Griffin. They game is set for Saturday at 1:30. And then Rochester, they will go on the road and take on Waterloo Friday at 7 o'clock. Little shake up there, Matt.
No, everything went according to plan. No, yeah, right. I mean, hey, let's just call it how it is. I mean, I think everyone in the state thought that Mount Zion and Derek were going to be meeting in the second round, and Mount Zion gets off to a great start, loses by 1. So I think the team right now to watch out for is, how good is Waterloo? Derek's got to take his team down to Waterloo on a Friday night.
Didn't they play last year? I'm going to look.
I'm not for sure. But what I want to finish my thoughts on.
Yes, sir.
Waterloo's been good in basketball. They've won a state championship in basketball. They've been in the state championship a long time ago. And, flipping over to the other side, I mean, Carterville, we've talked about Carterville. I mean, this is going to be really interesting to see how this all unfolds. I think you got in the South, whoever comes out of that little pocket of 4 teams is going to be well tested.
No, you know what? I am incorrect. I know they've played in recently in the playoffs, but last year, the team I was thinking about was the team that eliminated Rochester, Peoria, Notre Dame, which was just a wild 59-58 win. Probably one of the most wild playoff scores and games I've seen in a while. So again, so that does it for the 4A bracket. So again, kind of wild, a little bit. I'd say 3 of the 4 classes, some upsets for sure. 2A pretty chalky, pretty favorite overall. But, some great games, and looking forward to some great matchups as well. Matt, I know you need to do your 4 quarters before we let you skedaddle.
Sure.
So let's go through it. 4 quarters and overtime this week. The theme: rock and roll and coaching clashes. Wow. First quarter, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you right now.
Come on, Scott, fire away.
Big wins for Jacksonville, big wins for Porta, big wins for Waterloo, okay? And now your next round matchups are against really good teams, but there's no reason why you can't give yourself a chance to win the game. This is what it's all about. No one thought that Porta was going to win. No one thought that Waterloo was going to win. And no one, I mean no one, thought that Jacksonville was going to win except for Mark Grounds and that Jacksonville football team. Now they live for another day. They're trying to get to the top. It's a long way to the top. You want to rock and roll, but right now you're playing those bagpipes pretty dang freaking hard. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of fun for those teams. Congratulations.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Second quarter, unknown versus the well-known.
I would just call this like a coaching battle. You know, like sometimes you get coaches that you've never heard of going against coaches that you have heard of. You know, we know, some of us know Scott Goddard around here. He used to coach at Warrensburg-Lathan. Then he was at Bloomington. Now he's at Hayworth. And he's taking on Stockton. And there's a lot of unknowns about this, okay? But on the flip side of that, Gibson City's taking on Lena. And I think one of those coaches we know really, really well. The other one we don't really know really well. And I can tell you right now, Chad Augsburger will have that Gibson City defense ready. But it's a different component when you play Lena. So that's kind of the unknown. What's going to happen right there, okay? Versus kind of the well-known, okay? I mean, you know, there are teams that we just kind of, we know their names and we know who they are. But again, you know, Casey Westfield, Nokomis, you know, we know the schools. We know these coaches aren't talked about too much. Jacksonville versus Cahokia, Mark Grounds, you know, he is a well-known coach in the state of Illinois. And then Waterloo against right now probably one of the best, if not the best coaches, one of the best coaches we have in all of A classes, Derek Leonard. You know, you have a Waterloo team that really no one knows anything about. Yep. But everybody knows about Rochester. Can Rochester go down there and avoid the upset? You got the unknown versus the well-known in some of these second-round matchups.
Yeah, isn't that the kind of thing that keeps you up at night as a coach?
Well, and it makes the whole playoff thing interesting. I mean, you know,
yeah, no doubt.
You know, like everybody in Springfield was thinking Pat Etherton against Derek Leonard in round 2. Not so fast, my friends. Rochester, get on a bus and go down to Waterloo on a Friday night. That's what makes it fun.
Third quarter, Bo versus Woody.
Again, I'm going to kind of keep it in the coaching theme right there, okay? You usually have the student versus the teacher. And sometimes in these scenarios, it's really good, okay? So, for example, this Monticello game, you have a living legend and one of my best friends in Coley Welder, okay? Salona Unity, brand new coach, a guy that followed Scott Hamilton forever. So that's going to be interesting. Seneca Wilmington. I mean, let's make no mistake about this. Coach Maxwell has tried to pattern and copy the recipe and the blueprint for what Wilmington has done. And I think they're carbon copies of one another. And it's going to be really interesting. I wish I was there because I would like to win the 50-50. Guy Goodlove, a living legend. Almost like Woody Hayes taking on DeCoin and a no one, okay? Josh Josephs against Johnson City, Mark Ramsey, all big names. I kind of call it like this. It's kind of like Clark Lee from Vanderbilt going against Lane Kiffin. That's what it is today, okay? That's what it is today. You can call it Bo versus Woody or Clark versus Lane. Either way, great coaches leading their teams.
And fourth quarter, whom the bell tolls.
Hey, the bottom line is we know that song from Metallica, and the only reason I'm putting this down here is because when the Geneseo Maple Leafs won that game, after the game, they ran over and they hit their victory bell, and they hit their victory bell, and it just goes around and around and around and around. It's an incredible thing. For whom the bell tolls, whenever we hear that at a football game, it kind of feels like we're waking up. We're waking up the Giants. Here are the Giants in our playoff system right now, 1A through 4A. Think of some of these names: Geneseo, Morris, Stockton, DeCoin, Metamora, Sterling Newman, and Bishop Mack. Those are teams that are kind of like, if you think about it, they're sleeper teams. But in the grand scheme of things, those are the building blocks of IHSA football. I mean, if you go in and you look at some of those coaches, from Bob Reed to Darlington to Pat Ryan, to Coach Zanani at Bishop Mack, to Coach Poposia, Sterling Newman, you're getting the best that there ever was. So I think it speaks volumes. And that's just 1A through 4A. If I hand the microphone over to you, you can tell me all about 5A through 8A, but I think our coaches do a great job of representing our kids in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, no doubt. And then overtime, 38 special.
Well, I was going to say 38 special, or changes. The winds have changed by Scorpions, or whatever that song is called. Bottom line is that you better have a good punt team. You better have a good punt protection team. You better have a good punt cover team, and you better be able to make your pair extra points. And if you don't do that, you better be able to kick a freaking field goal. 3 teams are in round two because they were able to kick a field goal. I think it's going to get more and more interesting. Special teams are going to become a very, very vital point in these next 2 or 3 rounds. And as we get into Turkey on the turf at Hancock Stadium, your special teams have to be stellar. You got to have the right 11 out there, and it'll be a lot of fun to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And well done with the 4 quarters and overtime for sure. Looking forward to another crazy week, Matt. It's Wednesday. I still have not figured out where I'm going Saturday. And that's kind of par for the course. It's the further along we go, the harder it gets to try to figure out exactly where to go. So I'll get it figured out. But so that's definitely my plans. And Matt, just hoping we can escape maybe one more week with okay weather. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the skies, and just excited for round 2.
I had an absolute blast. I can tell you this. For me to go down and watch Jeremy Clodfelder and Paris, and they brought their band, they brought their fans, they brought their charter bus. For them to go into Monticello, and one of my best friends, Coach Welder, for him to let my son walk out there and grab the water bottles. And my son didn't even ask if he grabbed the water bottles. He just grabbed the water bottles and then take them out to the players. That means a lot. So to all the Monticello folks and fans, I'm standing there with my hood on, and I'm watching you guys. But that'll be a lot of fun this weekend at Tolono Unity. But I think it's going to be great weather, hopefully. And next week we'll be back at it again.
We will. So for Matt Leng, I'm EDGYTIM. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week. Hey, Eric Lyons, thanks for the swag. Love it. Absolutely love it. You will see that more than once. Trust me. So again, for Matt Leng, I'm EDGYTIM.
Where's my shirt? Where's my shirt?
Hey, man, got sent to me. That's all I can tell you.
Hey, he probably doesn't have one big enough, okay?
All right. He's Matt Leng. I'm EDGYTIM. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Go out, see a game this week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.